our next film. And let me bring up the synopsis real quick. Oh, sorry to the viewers here. How to Train, How to Train Your Dragon. The beloved animated movie from 2010 is getting a live action remake. So here is the synopsis for this one. As an ancient threat endangers both Vikings and dragons alike on the Isle of Berk, the friendship between Hiccup and an inventive Viking and Toothless, a night fury dragon, becomes the key to both species forging a new future together.
You do not need to read that synopsis because it's just How to Train Your Dragon, but with people, human bodies. That's it.
You know what, Brad? But we saw this movie at a press screening, and this was my first experience. Now, I know of How to Train Your Dragon just through geek and pop culture osmosis, so I know like some of the beats that were coming, but I've never seen the animated movie. So right before this recording, if you actually go check my Letterboxd,
oh my god,
I had just literally finished watching the animated animated movie.
Hold on. Don't tell me what you thought of the animated film yet. Just put that on pause. Okay. Let's stick to the live action film.
All right, let's go there then. So yeah, this was my first kind of initiation into this world and into this franchise. You of course have seen, I believe you saw the trilogy.
Yeah, I've seen all the How to Train Your Dragon movies.
So, and I know you like the animated movies. Going into this,
I love the first one. 2 and 3.
Okay, yeah,
I could take or leave.
Okay. What were your thoughts coming out of this one?
Well, I mean, it is a pretty faithful retelling of How to Train Your Dragon. It's been a while since I've watched the original animated film. I know they threw in some extra bits here and there. The film is definitely longer. The live action film is definitely longer than the original film. But we've got Gerard Butler back playing the dad. The kid actors are okay. I'm gonna be nice.
Yeah, I'll be nice.
I think it's challenging to play against a lot of blue screen work, a lot of animated characters, because like even though the human characters are live action, the dragons are still just cartoons. And Toothless is a pretty great reproduction of the How to Train Your Dragon Toothless, the original. I'm sure it looks a lot better now because a lot of time has passed technology-wise. But the design still works. So like everything with Toothless, I still found myself being emotionally wrapped up in his story with Hiccup.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because I had experienced this in animation, and the addition of human bodies, well, that's just boring human biology. I was really missing what animation can bring to a story in this movie. It just felt like a huge downgrade.
Yeah. I'm not going to compare, even though I literally just watched the animated movie before this recording, but going into the screening for the live action film, not seeing the animated movie, it felt like to me it was a kind of a copy of something better that came before it. Something in the beginning, kind of action set piece, felt off to me. And now, watching the animated movie and seeing that it kind of starts off the same way, that for me kind of worked a little bit better in the animated movie.
But
there was something.
Storybook opening in animation just makes sense. Whereas in this film, the storybook opening with its extremely dark nighttime cinematography just looks muddy and ugly.
And that's what I wanted to go to too. Again, we're not reviewing the animated movie, and I hate comparing, but this movie is hard to, because literally just watching the animated movie, it is almost a shot for shot remake. And I'm watching the animated movie and I'm like, they lifted basic shots, scenes, dialogue, almost verbatim. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, what was the point?
Well, the point was to make a ton of money.
Oh yeah, the
property is beloved, and I do think, like, you know, again, I haven't. I'll probably have to ask you this, but the animation of that era probably could be better if it was made today, and so I feel like there is probably a polish that you can put on this film if I'm being generous. Put on the original film if I'm being generous.
Okay. A polish on the animated version.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
I don't know if I believe any of that.
Well, no, I mean, I think there is some validity to what you're saying because this movie came out in 2010 and animation has changed a lot in the last 15 years. I mean, you look at, the Spider-Verse movies, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, like all these movies have really taken kind of like that traditional kind of Pixar animation and really kind of done more of a creative kind of artistic style that they've done to a lot of cinematic animation with some of the movies that we've gotten. So yeah, I think there is validity to what you're saying to how there can be like an upgrade to that. And that was kind of one of my criticisms watching the animated movie. It's just that I'm just not a big fan of the design of the characters and the dragons, and even with the live action version that really didn't do anything to kind of change my view or aspect of that. And again, also going to animation, and I'll end this quick because I know we're kind of going a little bit over, but there's something with animation and live action where in live action, you talked about the blue screen and the green screen and the visual effects. Sometimes you don't get distracted by that when you have animation, and that's why I think you can kind of get more kind of invested and kind of encompassed and kind of pulled into the world in animation, where live action sometimes you can get pulled out if things don't, because you have the uncanny valley.
Compositing that's happening in live action.
Compositing. Yeah, and
because
so that's why I think
this movie is a cartoon, just with one layer of humans dropped in the front into the foreground, and you feel that layering, which is what I think you're talking about.
Yeah, so I say all that to say a lot of times that's why I prefer animation. I know a lot of times we see animated stuff, we're like, oh, this would be so great in live action. I mean, that's a bigger conversation we can have, but this movie kind of opens that up. For me personally, I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't really need a live action version of a great animated movie because I have the great animated movie.
I love remakes. Some of my favorite films are remakes where they actually remake something, where they adapt and they bring new ideas to a story. And that is the opposite of what is happening here. But, if I was 11 years old and I had never seen How to Train Your Dragon before, and this was my first introduction to it, and I love dragons, maybe I would freaking love this. I don't know. But I'm not 11 years old. I'm an old man.
I know.
I want
both
my
of us are.
original. Now, did you like the original film at all?
Oh, what, the animated one? I did. Actually enjoyed that probably more than the live action version.
I hope so.
It did. Yeah. It didn't hit me in a profound way that I was hoping that it would. Maybe if I saw it when it came out, I probably would have. Or actually, I think if I would have saw this first, because watching it tonight, I found myself comparing it to the live action one and all the beats and all the scenes that were in that movie. And so you were right. It's hard to remove my unbiased opinion about what I had just seen in live action to the thing that came before it. And I tried to do that. And it didn't affect my viewing because I still think this movie was really good. But I think I would have enjoyed it a lot better if I saw it first.
Yeah, I mean, this new one is How to Train Your Dragon, but muddier and uglier.
Yeah, there you go. For me, I'm going to go B- on this one.
Yeah.
It just like I said, I didn't enjoy a lot of the performances from the kids. I just thought the like you were saying, the green screen and blue screen just looked very muddy. It took me out of it, and ultimately, I just kind of felt bored watching the film. Like nothing really resonated with me. So, what about you?
Yeah, I give it a B-. I did not enjoy this experience. I could not possibly recommend it. I was still hooked by some of the original emotions that are buried in the script and the characters and the design of Toothless and Friends.
Yeah,
but that's it.
Yeah, yeah, and like I say, it's not. I'm not saying like this the worst movie ever. For me, it just didn't work. So it's just a B minus.
It's
So
no Karate Kid Legends.
yeah, exactly. There you go. Few things are.
If you liked what you just saw,
Then check us out on YouTube at PGC TV Online, and we'll see you at the movies.